Survivor Series WarGames took place tonight in San Diego, California at Petco Park. This was the 39th annual Survivor Series event to take place, and this was the first one to ever take place inside of a stadium. Because of that, I wondered if they would set up a stage. We really didn't get much in terms of that. However, they did a tremendous job in ticket sales, as this is by far and away the most attended Survivor Series event of all time. On the show, they officially announced 46,016 people in the stadium. Incredible. You had an incredible atmosphere tonight. I had to mention the look of the show was beautiful because we saw the city. What makes this different is I think Petco Park is inside of downtown San Diego. I think some of the other stadiums are away from the city, but this is right downtown. So we saw all the sights of San Diego from the stadium. We saw all the buildings, and we saw some of the most beautiful beaches you'd ever see with the palm trees. Whenever we saw the beach, it looked incredible. And we saw it go from day to dusk to night. The look of the show was wonderful, I have to say that. And I guess I'll mention, I did hear about the Countdown to Survivor Series show. I didn't watch it. I saw some clips. I really like Kathy Kelly, really like Jackie Redmond. Big fan of both of them. There's no other reason to watch those Countdown shows. I really don't like anyone else on that panel. So we'll just start with the main show. As I said, we saw a lot of the sights of San Diego. Then we see the crowd, and then they show some of the people arriving at the stadium. We see a lot of the female competitors arriving for WarGames, both teams coming in together. Then we see both Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer arriving. And then we see Dominik Mysterio. We see him going into the show. They never show John Cena arriving. Since his whole retirement tour, they'll never show him coming in. So we hear the WarGames siren early on. The structure comes down. We got a big pyro display. And we start off with the women's WarGames match, as we do every year. You had on, I guess we'll call them the face team and the heel team, really. For the faces, it was AJ Lee, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley, cosplaying as Art the Clown, taking on Asuka, Becky Lynch, Kairi, Sane, Lash Legend, and Nia Jax. So to start out, Charlotte Flair was out first to a pop, and we had no shark cages this year. So what makes this different is they would just come out when the time would go off. So it's kind of like a Royal Rumble entrance in many ways. It was very similar to that. But with Charlotte, she just comes out, and I immediately see, no shark cages. So they just make their entrances, and that's a lot better. I never liked a shark cage gimmick. They started at NXT under Triple H, and I think this was always how they would used to do it in WCW. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like this format way better. So her opponent to come out first from the other team is Asuka. Asuka comes out, and they have a rematch of the match they had on SmackDown. Not last night as the show was taped, but they did have a match on SmackDown which Charlotte won. And they go back and forth. Not much here. It was just kind of basic. Io Sky comes out next. And again, this was like a Royal Rumble style entrance to me. And she's coming out carrying a trash can lid, which kind of felt out of place because it's Io Sky. Everyone associates a trash can with her, as that's when she does the big moonsault. But she did it a bit differently this year, but we'll get to that. Then fans love Io, by the way. She got a big pop. Becky Lynch came out next, and she came out carrying a kendo stick. And as I said, we can see the San Diego skyline in the entrance. When Becky came out, that's what I noticed, and wow, it looked wonderful. It looked great. So Becky whips Io Sky with a kendo stick, and then we get a Charlotte Flair Becky Lynch face-off with the roles reversed this time, as Becky is now the heel and Charlotte is the face. Of course, who can forget 4 years ago going into Survivor Series, there was massive heat between the two of them with that title exchange segment. So then 2 years after that, this would be 2 years ago, in 2023, they actually teamed up together on the same team, and now I guess they're back to being rivals. It didn't have that same, I don't know how to say it, that same aura or that same presence that it usually had this feud, but it's been a while since they feuded, many years now. Then Alexa Bliss comes out to a pop, and Alexa, what's different is she didn't carry a weapon with her to the ring. She just came out right away to the ring. And I have to say, I love her gear. She is incredibly pretty. Alexa Bliss is a very attractive woman, as everyone knows who've seen her. But I really liked her gear tonight. And her and Charlotte worked together, the allies of convenience. Then Kairi Sane was out next, carrying a chain to the ring. She uses it immediately. And she whacks, after she uses the chain, actually, there's a spot where Io's jumping off the top rope. Kairi grabs the trash can lid, and she just whacks Io in the side, hits her right in the ribs, and it looked like it hurt Io. That must have looked really painful for Io Sky. I'm sure her best friend didn't mean to hurt her. Her real-life best friend, by the way. So the faces are then tied up with the chain. That's Alexa, Charlotte, and Io. And Becky holds them, and Asuka and Kairi hit like a double drop kick, which was a cool spot. AJ Lee comes out next. She gets a big pop. Becky tries to keep her out of the cage by closing the door. So AJ climbs the cage from the outside, gets in the ring, goes wild on Becky Lynch, beats her down, and then eventually Nia Jax comes out on the heel side. All I can think of was, thank God they did not have her start the match, because they had her start the match for whatever reason last year. I'm still pissed off about that, and she ruined the match last year. She was so bad in that match last year, it killed it. Thankfully, they were smart enough this year to have her come out near the end, which makes sense. Why would you want one of the bigger people to start the match? I mean, wouldn't it make sense to have a bigger person on the heel side come out later? But last year, man, she killed that match last year, but she didn't get to ruin it this year. She came out next. Heels get the heat, and then Rhea Ripley comes out to a big pop. She's holding a trash can in one hand, and then on the other hand, she's holding a garbage bag full of kendo sticks, and she also just happens to be wearing a protective face mask that is Art the Clown. If you've ever seen the Terrifier movies, you know who Art the Clown is. You've probably heard of him anyways, and I'm sure Rhea really wants to be in the new Terrifier 4, which is... I think comes out next year, hopefully. I'm sure she'd really want to be in it. And she actually has the clown mask and like the pointy nose Art the Clown has. It actually has a pointy nose. It was really cool. And I don't know, I just thought maybe this would have worked better a month ago for Halloween. It's kind of Thanksgiving time in the U.S. So I don't know if, a Halloween mask on Thanksgiving weekend's the best idea. But Rhea's wearing the mask. She goes wild. And she gets a lot of offense in. Io then kicks. They had a spot where Rhea's holding Kairi in the trash can. Io then drop kicks the trash can into Kairi, which was a good spot. Lash Legend's out next. She didn't get much of a reaction, but she performed in this match. And I just wanted to mention, when she came out, you can actually see the beach behind the stadium. It looked great with all the palm trees. This was a really cool visual, which I really appreciate. We don't really usually get those. San Diego really is a beautiful city. Whatever you can say about it. Wow, it's a really good-looking city. So then Alicia Taylor officially announces, "Let the War Games begin." So Lash Legend comes in. She ragdolls Alexa Bliss just like she did a couple of weeks ago. And she really goes at it with Rhea Ripley. They have a really good exchange. I think she actually catches Rhea with a powerbomb, which was a good spot. Rhea actually did sold well for her, and her being able to catch Rhea is actually impressive because Rhea's bigger, so you never get to see another woman kind of really overpower her. She had a cool spot. There was actually a cool spot where Io Sky gets picked up and kind of like in a gorilla press position. A whole bunch of the other women had her. They threw her from one ring over to the other, and that was actually a really good spot. She went right into her team. Then they hit the Kabuki special on Io Sky. Asuka and Kairi did, but Rhea broke up the pin. Then Asuka accidentally missed Lash Legend, which kind of gave away who was going to win the match after that spot. Faces take over after. Charlotte and Rhea hit a double suplex on Nia Jax. Then Alexa Bliss hits the Twisted Bliss on Nia Jax from the top rope. Io Sky then climbs to the top of the cage, and AJ is trying to hand her the trash can, but she's like too short, so Rhea picks up AJ on her shoulders, and then AJ on Rhea's shoulders hands Io the trash can, and I'm worried Io's just going to lose her balance. It scares me for some reason. Well, it is for no reason. It is just scary. I mean, like, you make one slip and such a bad thing can happen, but Io grabs the trash can, and instead of, and she puts her over her head, but instead of doing her annual spot where she puts her over her head, she does a moonsault from the corner. This time she's in the center of the top of the cage, and she puts it over her head, and instead, I thought, okay, she's just going to do a crossbody. No. What Io Sky does is she hits a top cage, from the top of the cage, a swanton bomb onto a bunch of the women who were standing up, and it was actually a great spot. Swanton bomb with the trash can over her head onto all the heel team, taking them all out. And after that, Alexa goes to put a Sister Abigail DDT onto Becky Lynch, but Becky gets out and she goes into the other ring. All the other faces follow her, and she's surrounded. She takes a riptide from Becky Lynch, and AJ Lee locks in the Black Widow and taps out Becky Lynch, just like she did at WrestlePalooza. So she submits Becky Lynch for the second consecutive time, and obviously this means AJ Lee is going to challenge Becky Lynch. I think it makes sense for Becky to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship back from Maxine Dupree and then feud with AJ Lee. I think that's probably the direction right now. So after the match, the faces celebrated with each other. AJ, Alexa, Charlotte celebrating, and Rhea and Io really celebrating as Io jumps into Rhea's arms, and they celebrate like they're a couple. It's kind of weird, but they do that every year. Anyway, you had the females celebrating the end, which, okay, I thought this wasn't much of a WarGames match. It was very soft, very mundane. Not much high risks. I mean, the spot with Io was good, but I mean, there's been more crazier spots. Not much weapons. It was just such a basic match. It wasn't bad or anything. It's just, to me, it was just okay. It was just all right. It was kind of like, if you're gonna do WarGames, can you do a little bit more? I don't know. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, but it just seemed like just an okay WarGames match to me. And I felt like it ended abruptly. I thought they could have gone on for a bit longer. I felt once the last person came in, the match ended a bit too quickly. I thought they could have gone on a bit more. But I didn't think it was bad. I did think it was better than last year's WarGames for the women, but probably the one 2 years ago was better and the one 3 years ago was better. So, and there's been ones in NXT that were definitely better than this. It's now dusk, and I have to say the beaches look really nice at dusk. But it's dusk, and it's a cool setting because we don't really get to see shows when it's dusk. And unfortunately, we go to a commercial break. Fuck off, really. We got commercial breaks for Survivor Series. Anyway, Dominik Mysterio is out next wearing a luchador mask. He was accompanied by Raquel Rodriguez and the absolutely stunning Roxanne Perez, who looked incredibly attractive tonight. So Dominik makes his entrance, and then there's this long pause before John Cena makes his final entrance to a WWE PLE. He gets a massive pop. This is his second last appearance now. He's high-fiving all of the fans by the side. Incredible entrance here, massive pop. It's a WrestleMania aura type of entrance. I thought because of John Cena and how he does the salute with all the military stuff, I thought, and because San Diego's a military city, that they might do a special WrestleMania style entrance, kind of like what he did at WrestleMania 26, but they didn't do that. Instead, he makes his entrance. Alicia Taylor does the ring introductions, and we get our Intercontinental Championship match. John Cena defending against Dominik Mysterio. So Cena actually has the second most PLE wins, only behind The Undertaker. He had Raquel Rodriguez taking a cheap shot at John Cena. Dom sells an injury on the outside after he takes a power bomb, and it's a shoulder injury. I didn't buy it for 1 second. Refs and trainers check on him, and when they're all distracted, Raquel gets in the ring, hits a Tejana bomb onto John Cena, and then Roxanne Perez, yes, that Roxanne Perez, the tiny Roxanne Perez, hits a pop rocks onto John Cena, and he sells it. And I thought, I like Roxanne a lot, but that should not have happened. John Cena is just way too generous. It's like he's almost being too nice. Like, it's condescending. That's how generous he's being right now. He didn't need to do that, but hey, he wanted to. So Dom hits a 609 and the 619 and the frog splash, but the referee out of nowhere decides not to count it after he's so pissed off Dom faked the knee injury or the shoulder injury. He won't count the pin. I don't think I've ever seen that. That was actually kind of funny. Then Cena makes his comeback, hits his shoulder blocks, hits the you can't see me to 5-knuckle shuffle. Everyone loves that. Dom gets out of the STF. Cena kicks out of a frog splash. Dom kicks out of an AA. Then there was a referee bump, and that kind of gave away what the finish was going to be, as I thought it probably would. Finn Balor and JD McDonough run out. They beat down John Cena, but he fights them off, and then he hits a double AA onto both Finn and JD. I don't think he's hit that in... I mean, the one time I remember was when he tried to do that to Edge and Big Show at WrestleMania 25, I believe. But he actually hits it this time. It's Finn and JD. They're much smaller, but he hits the double AA. Really cool spot. And then he hits an AA to Dom. Looks like it's over, but there's no referee. Instead, Liv Morgan, her music hits. She makes her return. She gets an entrance, and she gets a big pop. She's been gone since she got hurt in that match with Kairi Sane back in the summer. Shoulder injury. She's back. I don't know if she's going to be wrestling full-time again already, but Liv is back. She enters the ring. We hear her theme. And she confronts Dom. Dom looks a little confused. She pretends to hit him. He flops. And it was obvious she didn't actually hit him. And then she jumps in John Cena's arms. And they decide to recreate the heel turn from Elimination Chamber when Cena's hugging Cody. Then his face turns. This time Liv is hugging John. And she's in his arms and her face turns. She gets down. She smiles again. Then she hits a low blow onto John Cena. He falls into the ropes. Dominik Mysterio hits a 619. Then Liv hits him in the head with the Intercontinental title belt. And then Dominik hits the frog splash. Ref gets back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Dominik Mysterio regains the Intercontinental Championship. He celebrates with Liv Morgan in his arms. They celebrate up the ramp. And we get to see John Cena. He gets up. He gets a standing ovation from the crowd. His music plays as he leaves. And this was his final PLE appearance as a main roster competitor. The last time he'll ever wrestle on a PLE. And all I thought was, hopefully this is his final loss in the WWE. I hope he gets to win his last match against Gunther in 2 weeks. So I did think the angle was done well. I wasn't a fan of this match. I didn't think it should have happened in the first place. But the way they did it, I thought it was done really well. I thought this was probably the best angle on the whole show. The way it was done at the end with Liv's return, they recreated the Elimination Chamber spot. It was overbooked, but I thought that was really the only way this could work, and I actually did like it. So I thought this was good. Hopefully, John just gets to have a regular match in his final match with Gunther. It's now nightfall. We get a commercial break at Survivor Series. They plugged a theme song for the show War Pigs by Black Sabbath. And Ozzy Osbourne on vocals. They also plug, I think, an Ozzy Osbourne charity, one of his many, as he died earlier this year. And his Black Sabbath, his former band, does the theme song. They're not still together, but Black Sabbath in the 1970s produced War Pigs, and WWE uses it every year as a theme song for Survivor Series. Nikki Bella was out next. Then Stephanie Vaquer comes out to a pop, and we get a Women's World Championship match. Stephanie Vaquer defending her title against Nikki Bella. So this match had easily, by far and away, the least heat of the four, as it was expected. This was almost, I don't want to say it's in the death spot. I mean, there's only 4 matches. You can't really have much of a death spot, but this was easily the least anticipated match of the 4 on the show. Nikki actually teased doing the Devil's Kiss. I thought she should have, because she would have gotten a big pop. Stephanie counters, but Nikki gets out of it too. Not much here, I'm not going to lie. I think actually Nikki kicked out of the SVB, but then I realized that's not her finisher anymore, Stephanie's. Stephanie hit the Devil's Kiss on the announce booth, and that was my favorite part of the match. It actually looked really good how she did it. Then she hits it in the ring, and it's fine at first, but then Nikki's not on her knees anymore, and she's on her she's flat on her stomach, and Stephanie's hitting it, and it looks so bad because Nikki's not on her knees, and you can tell it looked like Stephanie was upset at her. This happened actually, I think, earlier this year on NXT when Stephanie had Roxanne Perez in that move, and Roxanne's like she's not on her knees, and she's like yelling at Roxanne to get on her knees. This looked really bad in the ring. So Nikki messed up, and yeah, she just did not need to be in this match. She took it perfectly fine on the announce booth, which was weird, and it looked good actually. This time it looked awful in the ring. Anyway, Stephanie hits a corkscrew splash from the top, gets the win. Not a good match. Easily the weakest match of the whole show, as everyone thought it would be. New Day are backstage. Nobody wants to see them. It's to promote the WWE Supercard app, and when it's New Day, it's Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Grayson Waller, part of the group, if you didn't know. They replay the Liv Morgan angle from earlier in the show. Then they promote the Last Time Is Now tournament. They show us the brackets. We're going to know the finals, I believe, by the end of the week on SmackDown, and probably the semifinals will happen on Raw. They show us a bunch of celebrities, and then at the end, they show Danielle Fishel. She played Topanga from Boy Meets World, and when they show her, wow, she got a huge pop. I think she got a big pop on the Raw debut on Netflix earlier this year when it first debuted in Los Angeles, but when they showed her in San Diego, not a far drive, but she got a massive pop. They love Topanga. They show us, after they show the celebrities, they announce the official attendance. It's 46,016 people. Then the WarGames structure comes down for the second time. It gets its own entrance with the War Pigs by Black Sabbath theme song with some pyro. And we get our main event, the men's WarGame match. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Jim Uso, and Roman Reigns on one team taking on The Vision. Brock Lesnar, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul with Paul Heyman in their corner. That's the heel team. That's face team, heel team. So this time for the woman, the faces had the advantage, but this time for the men, the heels had the advantage. But CM Punk comes out first. I thought, that's weird. Aren't the heels supposed to come out first? But I just think they wanted the big pop to start the match. Punk's out first. Then Braun Breaker comes out. Not much happens, to be honest, between the two of them. Drew McIntyre's out next. He hits a Claymore on Punk. And then they repeatedly drive Punk into the cage. They throw him, and I think Drew grinds his face across the cage repeatedly. And it cuts him open. We get some blood here. Then Cody Rhodes comes out next. And they try to lock him out. They hold down the cage. So what happens is Cody climbs to the top, hits a crossbody off the top of the cage onto Braun and Drew, which was a great spot. And this is when you really see the blood coming down from Punk. So he was cut open pretty bad here to start. But this was nothing like the way he bled with Drew in that Hell in a Cell match last year. We didn't get anything like that. So Cody and Punk kind of go at it. I think they inadvertently bump into each other or something happens. But then they get on the same page quickly. They hit a heart attack, and I'm sure Bret Hart will complain about that. Yeah, he made the news this past weekend. And then they hit the Doomsday Device on Braun Breaker, and it looks so bad because Braun lands on the back of his neck, and it looks like he could have broken his neck if he wasn't so jacked. I mean, he lands right on the back. It was like an insane Doomsday Device, the Road Warriors move. Logan Paul is out next. He brings chairs into the ring. And then Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul actually fight on top of the cage. Then they go down, I think, after a chair is used on Cody's legs. Heels used the chairs. Jim Uso was out next. He pulled out a table from under the ring, put it in the ring. I was hoping they would have taken out Jimmy Uso before the match and John Cena can take his spot, but that didn't happen. Right when I kind of figured the heels would win, why bring out Cena again? But I thought that would have been a cool moment if they just take out Jimmy, Cena makes his entrance and helps the faces win. But that's not what happened. So Braun hit the Frankensteiner onto Cody from the top rope. Cody is now bleeding. They told us his eye was injured already. He had a cut above his eye, so Cody's actually bleeding again in this match. And so we got a couple blood spots here. Usually we get no blood. We did get some blood tonight. Bronson Reed's out next. Hits a tsunami onto everyone, which was actually a really good spot, really good moment. And to be honest, up to this point, I'm thinking, you know what? This is actually a really good match. They're really doing well. This is a very good WarGames match. I'm into this. I like this. And then the Yeet Man fucking comes out. The Yeet Man comes out. They do a fucking mid-match yeet. Fuck Jey Uso. I hope he gets hurt. I don't care. I'll be honest. I want him to get hurt now. I fucking hate this guy. I shouldn't say that. That's mean. I shouldn't say that. But I hate this guy. I can't stand Jey Uso. I'm not going to get into it. He's the worst wrestler in the fucking company, man. Brock Lesnar was out next. He's accompanied by Paul Heyman. Thank God. He's the one who interrupts the yeet. He destroys everyone. He hits belly to black suplexes, German suplexes, hits a whole bunch of F5s. This is great when Brock comes out. Then Roman Reigns comes out last. And Brock actually gets outside of the cage. And the thing is, when you leave the cage, you forfeit, right? But no, that's only when the match officially begins, because Brock didn't leave the match before the match officially began. So he's on the outside. He fights with Roman. Roman goes right at him, though. They battle on the outside. Roman hits 3 consecutive Superman punches, and now they're near the announce booth. He goes for a 4th, but Brock catches him and hits an F5 through the announce booth, and this is where I thought the match really peaked. Now, I was thinking, man, this match is fucking good now. I'm into this. Besides the stupid Jey Uso stuff, I'm into this now. This is getting really good. He throws Roman into the cage on the outside, then throws him into the ring. And the match really begins. I think he hits another F5 onto Roman, but it gets broken up. A whole bunch of different breakups here. Cody hit a crossroads after Punk hit the good GTS on Brock, but Logan Paul broke it up. Eventually, Logan Paul gets the brass knuckles from Paul Heyman. He uses them on a whole bunch of guys, knocks out both of the Usos, I believe. And then Roman Reigns, however, gets a hold of them, and he actually uses the brass knucks with the Superman punch, which looked awesome. That was an awesome spot. When he used that Superman punch with the brass knucks, it looked so devastating. Everyone saw it like they were killed. That was great. And then he hits a whole bunch of spears. And actually, I don't know if he hits a bunch of spears. I think he hits a Superman punch. He's going to go hit one on Brock Lesnar. And Jey Uso has him up, but Brock grabs Jey for an F5. And as Brock has Jey on his shoulders on the F5, Brock's back is towards the corner table. So Roman Reigns spears Brock Lesnar with Jey Uso on his shoulders, and he goes crashing through the table. Great spot there. That was really, man, I'm thinking this match is fucking good. I'm into this now. I really like this match. That looked great. And the match is at its peak now. It's getting really good, and then it just kind of ends. So a masked man, Bron Breakker actually hits Cody Rhodes with the low blow, and then a masked man climbs into the ring, climbs the cage, gets into the ring, and then he hits all of Seth Rollins' moves onto CM Punk, and it's not Seth Rollins. You can tell it's not him. I think it's Austin Theory, just putting that out there. But he hits all of Seth Rollins' moves onto CM Punk, including the curb stomp. Bron Breakker hits the spear on CM Punk. 1, 2, 3. Team Vision wins. Bron Breakker gets the win. He pins CM Punk. He pins the World Heavyweight Champion. Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, Brock Lesnar, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre are victorious. They celebrate with Paul Heyman by the ringside. I think Pyro even goes off, and they're celebrating, and then that's the end of the heels. We go back into the ring, and there's this tease between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. They tease it could be Punk and Roman. Tease it could be Cody and Punk. Cody and Roman was the tease near the end. Roman tells Cody this is last time they're teaming up together, and I was waiting for a big return. Then the show just abruptly ends, just like last year. They were teasing something, and the show just ends. I was thinking, all right, something's gonna happen. Nothing happens. Last year when Punk teamed with the Bloodline, and then everyone's waiting for The Rock to come out. Nothing happens. I'm thinking, is Rock coming out now? Could we get a big surprise? Of course. I'm stupid. I never want to see him back after what happened at Mania this year. But that was Survivor Series this year. That was the show. Just an abrupt ending. Not much happening at the end. I didn't like it that much. I was not a big fan of the show. I thought this was a weaker Survivor Series show. Last year's show I didn't like that much. 2 years ago when Punk returned in Chicago, that blew this. That was awesome. That was an incredible show. And 3 years ago, I think the show in Boston with Sammy pledging his loyalty, Roman, was also better than this. So of the 4 WarGames shows, this might be the weakest. I don't know. I don't remember last year's that much if it was that good. But yeah, I thought both WarGames matches were fine for a while, and they just both ended too quickly. The men's match was really good, but it had a lot of problems. I thought the ending sucked, and I thought the Jey Uso stuff sucked. that brought it down. But the match by itself, there's a lot in there that was really good. I enjoyed it for the most part. Woman I thought was all right. It was just so basic to me and just so, I thought it was just too safe in a way. I just thought it was like, not much happened there. But the matches, I didn't think they were spectacular. Not bad WarGames, but the men's was good, but had its issues. Women's, as I said, I mentioned my problems with that. The other two matches, I don't know. The Cena match, I guess it was overbooked, but kind of worked. And the women's match was, the women's title match was definitely the weakest part. I didn't like the show that much. No, I'm not a big fan of this year's Survivor Series show. I didn't think it delivered. I mean, it was a huge success in terms of business, but I didn't like the show this year. I did not like Survivor Series this year. I'm sure it's going to be in the stadium now annually, and I think for people who want it to go back to the elimination, traditional Survivor Series elimination matches, I don't think they can promote that match and sell 45,000 tickets like they did last year. So I think this gimmick is here to stay, to the dismay of many. But that was the show. Again, big financial success. Don't think it was a very good show, to be honest. Not very well received from what I've seen online as so far. So I guess as the year ends, all the focus now is in these next 2 weeks, as John Cena will have his final match in 2 weeks at Saturday Night's Main Event. That's all the focus now, and we'll see what happens, as the last time is now, officially, as he made his second last appearance, and his next appearance will be his last. We will see what happens.